Hi, I am Amanda from Soulmate, and we are back with another sew along. And this week we are stitching the Zero Waste Shoppers Model A this week, and next week Model B. The only difference is the size, of course, and then this one contains 2 pockets on the inside with zippers. This one's super easy to stitch, very spacious. You can carry your duvets or whatever for a weekend getaway. Stay tuned for the whole procedure.
Place the pattern pieces side by side as shown in the pattern parts list, just next to each other, so you minimize the waste. If you use the cotton canvas from our webshop, you will get as close to non-waste as possible. Then we are ready to stitch the pockets, and first I'm overlocking one end of the pockets, both the small and the bigger pocket. Then we're gonna hem them, so I start out by pressing them 1 centimeter to the back and stitch them. Fold them at the notch and give them a press. Then stitch them in the sides. Everything is 1 centimeter seam allowance unless anything else is mentioned. Then I overlock them so that I keep the seams neat and tidy. Turn it inside out so that the right side is facing outwards, and I give it a press. Now we're gonna stitch the main shopper piece. So first I fold it 1 centimeter towards the wrong side of the fabric, then 5 centimeters towards the wrong side of the fabric. You do the same to the other side. And also the side pieces. Alright, so we have all our pieces pressed and ready to go. Then I overlock the long bits again to keep it nice and tidy. Then stitch the sides and bottom piece together and stop with the needle down in the corners 1 centimeter from the edge. Once you're there, you cut into the piece where the needle is at least almost. Of course, not into the needle position. And then you continue your stitch. You do the same to the next corner, so again, 1 centimeter from the corner, you cut a little notch into the seam allowance and continue your stitch. And just like that, you stitched half of the shopper together. Continue same procedure to the other side. Again, cutting the seam allowance to add ease to the corner. Very important that you keep the needle position down whilst you're turning it. Then press the seams apart all the way around. And now we're ready to attach the pockets. So you find the notches at the top of the shopper and pin them in place. You do the same to the other side. This is still on the inside of the bag, of course. Then you pin the upper part of the bag in place and stitch it all the way around to secure it. Here I'm using a wider stitch just to give it a bit more of a rough look. Once I've made it all the way around, I go ahead with another top stitch at the very top, just on the edge, just to give it a nice crisp look. Again, all the way around. And voila. Now we're almost done. We just need the straps and the tie bands. So this is the straps, both the shorter ones and the longer ones. I start out by pressing them 1 centimeter towards the wrong side of the fabric and then fold them halfway over. Do the same to the long straps. Alright, so here we have it. Then I fold them outward again and stitch them from the wrong side of the fabric, just in the corners, so just like 3 centimeters down and then across in both ends. I do that to all 4 straps. And again, keeping the needle in the fabric whilst turning the corner, and then I just stitch in the crease line and trim the corner down. This is optional, but I like it when it's not too thick. Also, when I am going to top stitch it later on, it's easier to get the needle through. Then I turn the straps right side facing outwards and make sure that the corners are nice, and then give it a top stitching all the way around, also to close the opening. It's basically the same procedure with the tie ribbons, except here you actually top stitch it on all 4 sides. On your pattern piece, you find the markings for the strap placement, so I just go ahead and trace them through the pattern towards the shopper, all corners on both front and back of the shopper. Here I'm just using pins. You can also use chalk or whatever. I just find that this is easier, that I don't have to dust it off afterwards or wash it. Then I place the straps. Then we make this little safety stitch with a little cross inside. I find it easiest to stitch a square at first and then finish it off with the X or the cross inside afterwards. Again, I'm leaving the needle down in the fabric every time I turn corners, just to keep it in place. Then I go across. This is just to give it some extra safety, so to speak. You do this to all 4 handles and the tie straps. Lastly, make an edge stitching with a 1/2 centimeter seam allowance around the seams between the side and the bottom. Start and finish 1/2 centimeter from the bottom piece using a back tack. And you're done.
So that was it. You made your first shower here in the zero waste pattern. Next week we're gonna stitch the model B, the one with big zipper pockets on the inside. Stay tuned. Bye.